Hello everybody and welcome back to Eastburn Models. On today's video I've been given a box of 30 of these Magic Fly fabric paints and I'm going to try and get them through the airbrush because they are really thick paints these, but I'm going to be trying them and just seeing what colours that they give out and see if we can do a test on them just on as normal white spoons. That's all we're going to be using, just primered with a Vallejo primer. So we're going to be doing a bit of mixing, and what I'm going to do, even though they're acrylic, I'm not going to use water out. I'm actually going to use Tamiya acrylic thinner, the X28. I use it for all my acrylic paints. Like I said before in my other videos, I have used water and stuff like that, but I just find this to give more of a longer lasting feel to it, that's all. So we're going to be trying now, there's 30 of these, so I'm only going to try a couple of them on camera. So we're going to be trying the metallic sapphire blue. Now I can tell we're looking at it, there's a lot of metallic in this paint, a lot of it. Then we're going to be trying the metallic, oh I ain't got a clue, I'll just put that to the camera and you can read it. It's there, look, something green, chartreuse, whatever, green. So, and then we're going to be trying the metallic violet. So what we'll do, we'll start with the violet and we'll get these mixed. Now I'm using the test tubes, that's all I'm going to be using. So we'll make sure everything's screwed on. We'll put a bit into, oh they are really thick paint. Get that in there. So as you can tell, they are really thick paint. So I'm going to be putting, just on rule of eye, just because I kind of know from other paints, a quarter of the Tamiya thinner in for now. I can always add a little bit more paint and then we'll give it a good shake. But I need to get that paint thinned down. Yep. Right. So we're going to be pushing this through a 0.3 needle. And we'll see what happens with this one. Again, this is the metallic violet. So we'll give this a go. Yep, looks thin enough that. You still see the metallic in it. We'll turn the spray booth on. We'll turn the flasher on. Put lid on because I've got a tendency. Yep. A tendency to spill paint. So let's give this a very light coat and then we'll put it under the flasher. You just won't be able to see the flasher because it's off camera. And we'll flash it back off again. It seems to be spraying really nice. Does this. Now you can spray any paint through an airbrush, whether it's water-based, acrylic or the lacquer-based paints. It's how it stands up in time of doing a tape test, doing a bend of the spoon. That's why I spray the spoons, because I can bend them into position and see if the paint chips or cracks, and that's the last thing you want. But this is why I always put it on with very thin coats and build, as you can tell it's covering nicely, and I build it up very thin instead of going in with such a big coat. Sorry if my microphone keeps going down a little bit low. I'm having to use my phone because my cameras have gone down. so until I get them fixed I'll use my phone. Right, so again we'll go back over now. Put that on the flasher. If I just turn the camera a little bit there, like that. Sorry about the movement, but the flasher's up here now, on there. So what we'll do, we'll go back over now, a light coat. Back under the flasher. And then once we've done this, we'll move on to a different colour. So again, the fabric paint, it's nice to spray actually, it's a nice spray. But again, like I said, you can spray anything, household emulsion or anything through an airbrush. It's what the finish you require and the toughness of it. If it's a model that's going to be sat on a shelf, well, there's no reason why you can't use this stuff. Because once it's had a coat of clear gloss or satin gloss, it's going to have a nice tough shell to take a little bit of knocking a thing. But if it's going to be a model that you're going to be playing with, like some of these people paint figures and stuff like that, well, I wouldn't recommend using these paints really for the fabrics, or even anything really apart from like the true airbrush colours. I won't use anything like this, it's not got the strength really. Right, so we'll go back over now. So as you can see, put my airbrush back, as you can see, it's getting nice and deep now, so we'll keep that on the flasher now. But yeah, I got them given, so I thought I'd give them a go. I just end up accumulating absolutely loads of paint. Now these McFly ones, there's 60ml bottles of these ones, so you do get a lot of paint in them. Now even if you're to thin this paint down 50-50, you're going to end up with 120ml of that one paint. So for the price, you get a lot of paint for your money really, especially when you're going through the airbrushing stage. Now like I said, they are very, very thick paints. They come out like just thick worms. There's no runniness to them or anything. So just bear that in mind, and that's why I do use the acrylic Tamiya, the X20A, just because I know it can thin it down really fast, and I'm not going to have any reaction to it when I spray. I have tried thinning other paints down with just clear water, and I just end up in a mess. So I tend to just use, for acrylic paints, the Tamiya acrylic thinner, or any thinner as long as it's for acrylic, just instead of just using normal water. So leave that under there a couple more seconds, just because it's I put it on a bit thicker, that one. Okay, let's give this a go. So we'll go back over in thin coats again. And we'll just put it under there. But as you can tell, you know, it looks absolutely stunning, the paint. Absolutely lovely colour is that. Would I use them on the way it's spraying? Would I use it on, say, my car models? No, I don't think I would. I really wouldn't. I don't think I could trust the stability of the paint. You know when you're spraying Vallejo, it's been designed for airbrushes. The pigments are a lot smaller, so compared to these paints, they are very, it's got thick pigments in this one, so when you're watering stuff down and thinning stuff down, you tend to, you lose the consistency of the paint. You wreck the chemical balance on it, so what it's designed for. But I do like the way it actually looks. So what we'll do, we'll give that its final coat. We'll check these out at the end when we've done all three and see what we can get. Give this its final coat. And as you can tell, it's come up really nice. That's why we go with thin coats to start with. If you put 2 or 3 coats on of when it's thin and let it dry off, what happens is it allows the next layer to go on a little bit thicker, because it's keying to itself. You're not putting a different kind of paint on and trying to load a different kind of paint on top of it. So that's why we put 2 or 3 coats on a thin. Then when we do actually come to put a thicker coat on, it does grab to the previous coat because it's its own paint then. But yeah, it looks really nice as that one. So what we'll do, we'll get cleaned up and then we'll come back with the next colour. Okay, so moving on to the blue, the metallic sapphire blue. So we'll give that a go. And again, we're going to be, I'll do it in one of these little tubs this time, just because I've got it to hand. So we'll, oops, like I said, it really is thick, this stuff. Really is. So get some thinner. See all the when I stop it, I don't know if you get to see it on camera, but you see all the metallic. Like I've said on my previous videos, sometimes it is a bit of trial and error with these paints. What will work for one's thinning down won't work for the other. It all depends. One could be an older bottle than another. That seems about right. I'm looking at the bottle and it's, yep. Right, so we'll give that a go. So what we'll do, make sure everything's clear. Just do a test sample. Yeah. Let's wind that back in. Put the lid on. We'll have a nasty habit of throwing it around. Wind it back out just a little till you're stuck. You can hear. And there you go. There you go. You can see the paint. Yep. Wind it out a little bit more. And we'll grab a spoon. And again, we'll go with light coat. Now it might look like you've not put any onto the spoon. You might just see a lack haze, but that's what you're after, because we're not going for coverage at the moment. We don't want coverage on the first couple of goes. Put that back up there. You're just making sure you've got a good ground for the rest of the paint to sit on. This has got a slight mark on the top there. I must have caught it somehow. Right, so now we're ready again. So we'll go over a second coat. And let's give that a flash off now. Okay, so let's go again. Again, a nice thin coat. Let's get that under there. Again, we'll go over just another thin coat. And we're getting there now. It's got a right nice metallic on that one. So we'll let that go again. So this time what we'll do, we'll come back and give it a little bit of a heavier coat this time. So we'll just run a little bit slower with the gun. And we'll put that, so as you can tell, we're getting to colour stage now. Okay, so let's go in with a slower coat this time and try and get it to what colour we need it. And there we go. It's really nice. It'll look different on camera than it will here, but I can see all the metal flakes in it. So what we'll do, we'll get this under the flasher, we'll give it a good clean up, we'll come back for the last colour. Okay, so we're back now and we're going to try the last colour. So we'll grab some of this. This is that funny name again. So metallic green, I'll just call it. Oops, I always do that. Get a bit in there. Not put a lot thinner in this one. I'll just get it to a consistency. Make sure you give them a good shake up. Don't just do a couple of shakes because it's really thick paint is this one. So, and there we go, it's sticking to the sides now, and but yet running down. So there's his level of paint. So I think, yeah, we've got it. So looks bright in there. So what we'll do, that to one side, make sure his gun's clear, bit of paint in there, put lid on so it's out the way. Just keep checking on the paper, that's all, just to make sure I can get the colour out. Right, so we'll grab the last test spoon. Let's get a different one because that's got some bad marks on it. That will do. Right. Yep, so we'll give it a light coat. And we'll put it under the flasher. Like I've said on many videos, the lighter you go with the coats, the thinner you put the coats on, the quicker it flashes off. So you could give it another coat. So you might end up in total putting maybe 6 or 7 coats on, but you'll get a nicer finish than you will trying to get it on in 4 coats. And save a lot of waiting around for thing to dry between coats. But the whole point of airbrushing is it's not like a paintbrush where you can put it on really thick and you get an instant blockage really of the colour behind it. It's not like that with airbrushing because you don't want it thick. The finished product should not be thick. That's when you get cracks and it starts flaking. So the last thing you want with airbrushing is to put it on thick. Like I say, the end product should be still thin. So we'll go over with a second coat. Just again, just a light coat. Like so. It might look like I'm putting a heavy coat on, but I'm not. It's just different colours of paint that look differently, that's all. Okay, so we'll go in with a third coat. I think it's the third one now. This time just a little bit slower. But still not too thick, still thin. And as you can tell, we're getting some coverage now. So we'll leave that under there while I just top this paint up. Although I've got plenty in it, just felt a bit empty. And like I said, with these sealable tubs, you've still got that paint if you want it. I'm not bothered about storing that colour paint anyway. So I've got a big bottle here, and it's very rare I'm going to use the metallic anyway on this green. So these were just paints, like I said, I got them given, so I thought I'd try them and just see what they were like and how they thin down. So, but they seem to be doing a really nice job. So now we'll go over with the fourth coat. This time just a little bit slower. I'm not altering the gun at the end. I'm not altering the amount of paint that comes out. All I'm doing is going a little bit slower. So, take your time. That way just to give it a coat, and then again I haven't gone too mad with it. I've just left it as it is, just thin coats. So now let's go back over now with this final coat. Like I said, just a bit slow with your airbrush. Again, not altering the amount of flow. We want to keep that the same. So now we'll go back over and I'll make sure we get everywhere. There we go. So there you have the nice green, metallic green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get cleaned up. I'm going to put these 3 colours. If I just grab the other ones. There's the blue. And the purple. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these in the dehydrator for about 15-20 minutes, make sure they're completely set, and then we'll come back and we'll do a tape test on them and we'll bend the spoon to see if they can withstand some movement just on that paint alone. So we'll see you back in a few minutes. Okay, so we're back now. It's been about 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes now. I've left these in the dehydrator to dry off. But I'm absolutely shocked really at the quality of the spray and the colouring that came out. The metallics, there's a lot of metallic in these. But you won't be able to tell on the camera, but for fabric paint, that's amazing really. So again, we're using the, I think it's Magic Fly paint, but it looks like an R and an N. But it's just one of them things. I'm not too sure on the name. Like I said, I were given these, so I just thought I'd give them a whirl and see what they are, see what they can do. So if we start with this one, the metallic, I think it's Chart Reuse or something it is. So we've done that one. So as you can tell, we've got a nice finish on this paint. It's got a lot of metallic in it, but if I bend them, as you can tell, it's not cracking the paint at all. It's not moving the paint. These have only had 20 minutes to 30 minutes in the actual booth, in the actual dehydrator. But I'm bending that spoon right over now and it's not cracking or stretching the paint at all. So that one is perfect. And then we move back onto the metallic sapphire blue. And again, we got a nice, we did have a bit of mess up here, but I think there was something wrong with the primer on that one because it hasn't happened on any other ones. So, but I don't know if you'll be able to see it, just a bit of overpowering here. But I'm not too bothered, they're just plastic spoons. I'm only going to get a colour on them. But again, a lot of metallic in that one. And if we bend the spoon, again, we've got no cracking on it at all. So we know that it's got a nice tough coat on it, and because the paint's only gone on thin, we're not going to get a lot of cracking anyway because it's barely on. We've just got enough to give it the colour. But again, no, not one thing, no cracking on that one. Then we move over to the metallic violet paint. Now on camera you won't be able to see the metallic in this one. It is there, but I'm even a bit struggling to see it under this light on here anyway. So again, we get a nice coverage, and again I'm bending the spoon right over to snapping point, and I still haven't got any cracking in there at all. So my thoughts on them, yeah, really good. Would I use them on my models? Do you know, I think I will. I think I would, because like I said, you know, the models that I build, they're made out of thicker plastic anyway than the plastic spoons. So even if there is a bit of bending or anything like that, and I'm flicking that spoon now and it's not even marking it. So it's absolutely solid, is that. But again, it helps because we've only put it on thin coats. We haven't overloaded the paint. Like I said, a lot of people who comment on my videos about the crack and all that, they don't crack. It's down to user error, because I've never really had a problem with paint cracking. I have if I put it on thick because I'm rushing this process. But because I only put 6 or 7 coats on them in really thin coats, it's still thin when it's on the actual product. You just can't tell. So, but I don't have a problem in the paint at all, in any of the paints that I spray, because I know how to use the airbrush and how thin to put them down. Now it might just be my preference, but I'd rather, if I'm spending the time to build a model, I'm not going to wreck it just because I'm a bit frustrated because this is taking its time. That's why I built the flashing machine, and to allow the coats to dry. Now what we will do on here, I will put a tape test on each one. Now again, it's not going to be completely dry. It feels dry, but it's not. It needs about 72 hours for this paint to actually work properly and get its really hard shell on it. But even at this stage, 20 minutes after spraying them now, we're just going to do a little tape test just to see if anything comes off when we peel tape. And as you can see, there's not anything on it. It hasn't come off at all. I haven't detacked this tape. This is just straight off at roll. It's not low tack tape either. It's just decorator's tape. But again, there's nothing on the actual masking tape. It hasn't marked the actual spoon. And again with the purple, there's nothing on the actual tape, and there's nothing on the actual, it hasn't pulled any paint off. I didn't expect that tape test to go wrong anyway, only because we bent the spoons to start with anyway. Now there's no way you're going to grab a model and you're going to bend it in that position. There's not a chance. So I've no doubt whatsoever that this paint will stand up to the test on putting it on your models anyway. So I will use these paints, to tell you the truth. I really like how they've gone on and how they look. The nearest, damn it, to the bottle that we've got. I've sprayed the Timbertex, and when I've sprayed the Timbertex paint, what I found with them is that they don't come out like the bottle. So they come out a hell of a lot brighter. But at least with these, you're realistically getting what's in the bottle. And I think it helps because it's fabric paint. It's still acrylic, but, you know, I think a coat of lacquer on these probably will do the job. Now, what I will say about the lacquering process of it, I will do another video on putting lacquer over these. A lot of people, when they spray stuff, you get that colour, but then when you put lacquer on, it goes a bit deeper because there is colouring in lacquer. It's never exactly clear. So you might get a deeper colour. So if you're wanting to retain that colour, I really don't think you're going to retain that as much as that richness of that colour by putting lacquer on it. But certain lacquers could react to this as well. Now I will try the water-based lacquer. I will spray a couple more spoons up so we can have a full test of the lacquering through the water-based paint lacquer, the acrylic lacquers from Vallejo, and I will try them on the lacquer-based paints as well, what I tend to use, which is the yacht varnish. So I will put different things on and see which one reacts to it, so at least you're aware of what will happen if you... Now, I can't see anything happening really as long as we'll allow these to dry for a further 72 hours before we touch it. The only time I can think it's going to react to it is if we don't allow this enough time to actually harden off what it requires as any acrylic paint. So yes, it dries faster on the outside, but it takes a long time to the inside to really go rock hard. So you don't just want it dry on the outside, you want it completely in the middle as well. So that's it for this video. But I do like the paints, I really do, and I'm glad that I was given them 30 of them, all different colours, and they are the 60ml bottles. So I've got a lot of paint for a long time really. So I will put these in my collection and I will use them on my models. I'm not saying I'd use these on a model that's £200 or £300 worth of model, but for the £30–40 models that I'm building at the moment, like the RS34, yeah, I would use these. It's just because I need that certain colour, so that's why I won't be using these. But if you're doing your normal crafting, if people are doing crafting and not the models, they're just building stuff out of plant pots and they're spraying them up, and my mum's a crafter, she does all stuff like that. Putting these through the airbrush for my mum is a lot better than going round with hand. So I do believe you get the look you're after, but the time will tell when we do come to put lacquer on it. And we'll put, like I say, we'll put the thinner lacquer on and the acrylic, and then we'll see which one reacts in the way and what final look we get on these. So apart from that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.